Look, this is Jan, a high school student living in tough conditions. Though he's a good-looking, decent guy, poverty has hit him hard. He even sleeps on the floor because he has no bed. He wakes up sick with the flu, but forces himself to get ready quickly so he won't be late for school, and looks for his mother, but she's not home. He finds a message from her saying she went to work and telling him to look after himself. He's happy she thought of him, but he's clearly sad, carrying a heavy burden. When he gets to school, he sees a group of bullies live streaming on YouTube, telling their followers they're going to transform a student into a celebrity look-alike. The victim is Jan. Seeing him upset, they threaten him into acting happy on camera in exchange for 10,000. Hearing the amount, and desperate because of his poverty, he agrees against his will, since he needs the money and fears them. They then apply humiliating makeup, turning him into a clown on camera, forcing him to laugh and interact with viewers while everyone mocks him. Views keep climbing and the channel keeps growing. We see Jan rush off, wash his face, and stand in front of the mirror, devastated and sad about his life, wishing he had the strength or talent to defend himself. A $1 coin falls from his pocket and he chases after it since it matters to him. He spots the bully leader mocking him, and when Jan demands his payment, the leader refuses to pay, punches him in the stomach, knocks him down, insults even his sick mother, and warns that if he complains, he'll see something he's never seen in his life. Jan is left heartbroken. After school, he visits his mother in the hospital. She notices the bruises on his face and asks what happened, but he lies so she won't worry, saying he fell while playing. There they see the treatment bill, and he realizes the amount is huge, so he decides to raise the money any way he can. He goes to his job at the restaurant and spends the day serving customers. Suddenly the manager introduces them to a new employee named Mia. The moment he sees her, he is struck by her beauty and keeps stealing glances, making her notice and him grow nervous. A little later, the bully gang shows up at the restaurant for a new live stream challenge. Their leader dares Mia to make a burger in 5 minutes or else she must give him her number. Mia panics, not knowing what to do, but Jan steps in and makes the burger in her place. They agree, he succeeds, and the bullies lose the challenge, leaving the restaurant angrily. Mia thanks him for what he did, but when Jan steps out to take out the trash, he finds the bullies waiting for him. They start beating him savagely, almost breaking his arm, until Mia suddenly spots them. They pretend to just be friends fooling around and leave after warning him not to say anything. Mia senses they were lying to her and decides to get closer to him. Later that day, one of the bullies goes to Jan's house to live stream from there. Jan is forced to agree, and while cooking, he trips over the appliances cord and spills hot food on the bully, who gets angry, attacks him, and beats him humiliatingly. But Jan finally reaches his breaking point and fights back for the first time, landing a strong hit. The scuffle turns into a violent fight that wrecks everything in the house, and though he's kicked out, he still feels proud, because in the end he defended himself. The next day, he visits his mother in the hospital, and the doctor shocks him. Her condition is very critical and she needs surgery quickly, or her life will be in danger. He leaves worried, not knowing how to get the money. Suddenly the bully he fought calls and asks him to delete the video, since the device's camera recorded the whole fight. Jan is puzzled, then realizes what happened, rushes home, opens the video, and is stunned by the huge number of views. He tries to delete it, believing the matter is over, but the next day he discovers everyone at school has seen it. He suddenly goes from an overlooked, weak student to the most famous student in the school, and everyone starts treating him differently. Meanwhile, the bully who lost faces humiliation from the gang leader and gets kicked out of the group, which drives him to seek revenge. He goes up to the school rooftop with Jan and proposes they team up to expose the gang leader on a live stream. Jan hesitates at first, but eventually agrees. The leader, wanting to exploit their popularity for more profit, asks them to do a new joint stream and acts in front of viewers as if they're now friends. But Jan decides to reveal the truth. He grabs the camera and shows viewers the marks and bruises on the leader's body from their fight. Shocked, the leader quickly cuts the stream, attacks him, and knocks him down with a powerful hit. But he doesn't know that all of this was part of a plan agreed between Jan and the other bully to film everything so they could expose him. Furious, the leader prepares to use his strongest strike to finish it once and for all. Suddenly, a student known throughout the school, a famous boxer whom everyone treats differently because of his strength, walks in, stops the fight, and tells him his voice is too loud and won't let him sleep. The leader is instantly afraid and apologizes, then leaves. The boxer then notices Jan has passed out from the beating and carries him to the school nurse's office to be treated. But when Jan wakes up, his first question is whether the plan worked. His friend tells him the video got over 1 million views and huge profits. They agree to split the money, and Jan is overjoyed because part of the surgery money for his mother has become available. But his friend proposes they work together permanently, doing live streams where Jan gets beaten up, since this kind of content brings in huge views. Jan is baffled and asks if he means he should go live as the one getting beaten rather than fighting, but remembering his mother's condition, he's forced to agree to cover her treatment costs. His friend advises him to endure the beatings as much as possible, since the longer the video, the more the profits grow. That night, back home, Jan starts watching fight videos to learn self-defense, and by chance finds a video of a man wearing a chicken mask claiming he can make anyone strong. Jan laughs at him, thinks he's crazy, and closes the video. But that night he dreams of all the insults and bullying he's endured and wakes up terrified. He hesitates, but eventually decides to watch the video again. The next day he goes to school feeling tense, but the leader is waiting for him with his gang after watching the video. They grab him, throw him down the stairs, and beat him savagely. When Yang feels exhausted and is about to give up, he notices his friend is filming everything, so he decides to endure it so the views rise and he earns more money. Then he remembers the masked man's advice from the video that the first step to beating an opponent is to provoke him into losing his temper. He raises his guard, protects his face, and stands firm. The gang leader loses his temper and charges with all his strength, but Yang dodges the blow and stays standing in place. Everyone is stunned, assuming it was just luck, but Yang becomes certain the masked man's words were true, and recalls a second piece of advice to get close to his opponent during an attack to reduce the impact of the hit. He applies it and takes the next blow from close range, barely affected compared to before, and for the first time feels that he might actually be able to win. But he still hasn't fully memorized the rest of the lessons, so his mind gets confused and he doesn't know what to do. The gang leader kicks him down and prepares to finish him off when suddenly a new female student arrives, pretending to be filming everything and threatening to post the video if he doesn't back off. The gang leader is forced to retreat, and Yang is relieved because she saved his life. He goes up to the rooftop with her to thank her, and there she introduces herself, saying her name is Mincio and that she used to live abroad and just transferred to the school. Afterward, his bully friend offers her a spot on their team, showing her the channel's earnings, which reached 25,000. Seeing the number, Mincio agrees and tells them she's skilled in programming and can manage the channel and grow its reach. After discussion, they suggest a new name for the channel, The Famous Punch, since each fight Yang goes through brings in more views. Everyone likes the name and it becomes official. After school, Yang goes to the restaurants and continues watching the masked man's videos, trying to imitate his moves, but Mia suddenly interrupts him and he quickly closes the video out of embarrassment. He asks the manager for time off to handle something important. The manager initially refuses due to workload pressure, but Mia steps in and offers to cover his shift, giving him her personal number and telling him to call anytime he needs anything. Yang is unusually overjoyed and thanks her repeatedly. After finishing work, he goes to meet his friend, the whole time thinking about Mia and her number. On the way, two people recognize him as fans of the Famous Punch channel and ask to film with him. Flattered by his new fame, he agrees, but it turns out they're thieves. They lead him to an isolated place and steal his wallet. Devastated, he wants to report it to the police, but his friend refuses, pointing out that everything that happened in the earlier live stream brought huge views and suggests they confront the thieves instead to boost profits further. Yang is scared at first, but eventually agrees for his mother's sake. He chases the thieves to their hideout and demands the wallet back. The thieves laugh and mock him, and one of them decides to fight him. Yang recalls the masked man's training and follows it exactly, raising his guard, protecting his face, and dodging blow after blow, frustrating his opponent and breaking his focus. The plan actually works, and when he closes in during the attack as he learned, he weakens the thief's punches until the thief becomes the one taking damage. The thief feels frustrated and becomes convinced Yang is no ordinary person, so in the end he gives up, returns the wallet, and apologizes. Yang goes home happy and celebrates with the team, thanking his followers for their support. Mincio takes the opportunity and posts the video on the channel, which achieves even greater reach and profit. Yang suggests splitting the earnings equally, but Mincio refuses her share, saying she's only participating for fun. His friend tries to take her share instead, but Yang stops him and threatens to quit if he keeps doing that, so he backs off immediately since the whole channel depends on Yang's fame. After discussion, they agree Yang takes the largest share since he's the one who puts himself at risk in every video. The next day, he visits his mother in the hospital and pays part of the treatment costs without telling her where the money comes from, letting her believe he's just working extra hours. He notices her robe is old and torn, so he decides to buy her a new one. On the way, he gets a message from Mia asking to see him. Overjoyed, he wears his best clothes and goes to meet her, taking her to a nice cafe and buying her favorite ice cream. During their time together, he overhears someone mocking his old shoes and feels embarrassed, expecting Mia to feel ashamed of him too, but she surprises him by saying she doesn't care about appearances and thanks him again for standing by her at the restaurant. Afterward they go for a walk together, happy, but by chance they run into the famous boxer, who joins them, and it turns out he's known Mia for a long time. They all go together to the beach and have a great time, but Yang notices the easy chemistry between them and starts to feel jealous, sensing he's an outsider among them. He makes an excuse that his leg has started hurting and goes home, feeling upset. But suddenly his friend appears behind him and reveals he'd been live-streaming him, and viewers noticed his interest in Mia and started encouraging him to confess his feelings. Yang refuses, insisting there's no way she'd choose him. She'd surely pick the boxer since he's strong and brave, while he's just a weak guy who's been bullied his whole life. His friend gets angry, grabs him by the shirt, and tells him he has to try and not give up, encouraging him and building his confidence until Yang is moved by his words, thanks him, and hugs him, promising he'll go confess his feelings. He runs off quickly to catch up with her, but before he reaches anyone, he finds his bully friend lying on the ground. At first he thinks it's a new prank, but as he gets closer he's shocked because he's genuinely hurt and bleeding. He asks who did this to him, and his friend struggles to answer, telling him to run and save himself. At that moment, the gang leader and his crew appear and surround them. Mia intends to call the police, but the gang leader stops her and orders his gang to silence her. Yan panics, not knowing how to save her, but remembers the masked man's advice and tries to stay calm. He starts provoking the gang leader with words to make him attack first, and indeed he charges at him in a rage, but this time Yang is well prepared, hits him with his other hand, and knocks him down. As Jan lies on the ground, he remembers all his years of bullying and fear, and how he lost his chance to change because he was weak and frail. In the end, he begs the gang leader to spare Mia, since she's done nothing wrong, but the leader refuses and demands he humiliate himself on the live stream, or else he'll hurt her. Jan breaks down and agrees to save her. Suddenly the famous boxer arrives at just the right moment, steps in, and starts beating the gang members, saving Mia. Now the gang leader faces him and threatens him, telling him if he doesn't back down he'll regret it, but he knows he can't beat him, so he's forced to flee. Yang is happy that Mia is safe, but feels intense embarrassment since she saw him in such a humiliating state, and he begins to cry. Mia wants to comfort him, but the boxer takes her away because it's starting to rain. The next day, the leader does a new live stream, revealing his true face and starting to bully weak students. He corners Jan's friend, humiliates him in front of everyone, and punishes him because he filmed him without permission, with no one brave enough to step in and help. He's forced to beg on camera and call for Yang to come and save him. Though scared, Yang's friend, remembering his mother's words and considering Yang his closest friend, warns him not to come because his life is in danger, but the gang leader gets angrier and beats him harder. Suddenly Yang arrives and stops him, and the leader is pleased since he expected Yang had come to apologize. But Yang refuses and asks his friend to livestream everything, titling the video "How to Reclaim Your Rights from Someone Stronger Than You," and prepares to fight. This time he's been well trained from the masked man's videos, having trained hard over the past days, which boosted his fitness and endurance. He even changed his diet to become stronger. The fight begins, he raises his guard and protects his face, and the leader attacks with full force, but Yang dodges his blows at high speed. The gang leader starts losing his temper, smashing everything in front of him, until he manages to grab Yang and knock him down, but Yang had achieved his goal of breaking his focus, so he seizes the opportunity, analyzes his movements, and discovers his weak point is in his legs. He starts focusing all his attacks there. The students watching are stunned by what's happening, and the leader tries to act like he's fine, but the pain completely overwhelms him. Still, he keeps fighting, attacking wildly while Yang blocks and strikes his legs repeatedly. Despite the gang leader's strength, Yang eventually succeeds, grabbing his hair and delivering powerful blows all over his body until he's dazed and falls, telling him his end is near. As Yang lies there, he remembers his old life before the gang leader arrived at school, days of peace and hope, and remembers how his life turned into hell because of the bullying, and decides to change his fate for good. He stands back up on his feet and tells him he's no longer afraid of him like before. The leader attacks again, but due to his injured leg he stumbles, and Yang seizes the opportunity to execute his strongest learned move, landing the finishing blow in the open. The leader falls to the ground, ending the fight, and everyone is stunned by the outcome as viewers flood the stream with praise for his name. Mincio is overjoyed and moved to tears, while Mia and the boxer watch the scene proudly. After this victory, Yang and his team walk along the sea and discover their channel has reached 1 million followers. He's overjoyed because the profits will help fund his mother's treatment. Afterward they spend a great time together. The next day at school, he finds all the students have changed how they treat him, and they start respecting and thanking him for freeing them from the gang. Yan finally feels his life has returned to normal. But at the same time, the gang leader's girlfriend notices people mocking him after his loss and gets angry, deciding to leave him since he's no longer useful for her fame. She goes to her manager and tells him she is willing to do anything to become more famous. After work, Yan goes to the restaurant and by chance bumps into Mia, spilling the food from his hands. He helps her clean up, and afterward they walk together as he apologizes for disappearing for a while and not replying to her messages. She tells him she's not upset and thanks him for being brave and saving her from the gang leader. She then invites him to hang out again, and he happily agrees right away. After saying goodbye, he notices she forgot her handkerchief, so he runs after her to return it, and there he's shocked to see her entering a huge mansion, realizing she's from a very wealthy family. He feels discouraged because the gap between them is so large. Meanwhile, Mia is sitting with her father, who's pressuring her to quit the restaurant job and work at his company instead, but their relationship is strained, and she refuses because she wants to depend on herself. The next day, Yang meets with his team to look for a new opponent for the channel. His friend suggests a huge wrestler for him to fight, but Yang refuses immediately, telling him if he wants to face him, he should go face him himself, because there's no way he'd fight him. His friend pretends to agree, but the moment he sees the wrestler, he panics and backs down immediately, and Yan laughs at him. Afterward, Yan and Mincio go out to brainstorm another idea, while his friend decides to go to the gym for a change of scene. There, the gang leader's ex-girlfriend spots him and decides to exploit him, getting close and getting him to drink until he's drunk. She asks him to show her the channel, and without noticing, he agrees, while she secretly records the password without anyone seeing. That night, Mincio tries to log into the channel but discovers it's been stolen. She calls Yan and tells him what happened, asking him to come over so they can figure out a solution. But on the way, two people from the gang leader's group appear, surround him, steal his phone, and hit him on the head with a bottle, warning him to stop everything he's doing. Mincio hears the sounds through the phone, fears for him, and rushes to the location. When she arrives, she finds him on the ground and initially thinks he's dead, but he wakes up and reassures her he's fine. He goes with her to figure out a solution. Then his friend arrives and learns the channel is stolen. They ask him if he opened it in front of anyone, and he remembers what happened at the gym, realizing the girl is behind it, but he's afraid and doesn't tell the truth. The next day, he confronts her at school and demands she return the channel before she regrets it, but she plays innocent and runs away, leaving him confused about how to get it back. Meanwhile, Yang is forced to return to his job at the restaurant since the money has run out. There, Mia notices the wounds on his face and assumes he's gotten into a new fight. Yang explains everything to her, saying 2 people ambushed him and stole the channel, and tells her he's fine. He returns her handkerchief and thanks her for standing by him. Afterward, he calls his friend to meet, and they all gather at Minsio's house to figure out how to get the channel back. At first they think reporting it to the police would be best, but they back off since they're still minors and could get into trouble. But Yang keeps searching online and by chance finds photos of the 2 men who attacked him, discovering they're known for their pointless pranks. He decides to confront them himself, but doesn't know how since there's more than one of them. That night he goes home and keeps thinking, until he opens the masked man's channel and finds a new video explaining how someone can defeat more than one opponent at the same time. He's thrilled and decides to watch it and memorize every word. The next day, the 2 young men are live streaming pranks in the street, scaring people with fake toy snakes. Suddenly Yang appears before them, disguised to look like a dangerous person. At first he manages to scare them, but due to bad luck, he trips and his shoe comes off, ruining his intimidating image completely. They laugh at him and try to attack him, so Yang decides to fight them and manages to hit one of them. But the second one attacks him from behind and knocks him down, and the 2 of them keep beating him, convinced he's finished. But he refuses to give up and remembers the masked man's advice. He gets up, runs, and leads them on a chase across the whole city until they end up at an amusement park. There he uses the location to separate them so he can face each one alone, and after a series of chases and fights across the rides, he manages to defeat them one after the other and forces them to return the channel against their will. He goes live again and thanks his followers for their support, and the audience floods him with gifts and donations. The next day, he visits his mother in the hospital, buys her new clothes, and reassures her that the surgery money is almost complete. But she's worried about him and tells him not to put himself in danger, so he's forced to lie and tell her he's just working more hours at the restaurant. At the same time, his friend posts an ad on the channel looking for a new, powerful opponent to face Yan, while also trying to get closer to Minseo since he likes her, but her father suddenly appears, gets angry, and threatens to kill him immediately if he bothers his daughter. His friend gets flustered and becomes overly polite to please him. Meanwhile, Yan takes Mia on a lovely date and they have a great time, filming and laughing together. He asks her about her family, and she tells him her father is a famous doctor who wants her to work at the hospital with him, but she insists on depending on herself. Yan tries to confess his feelings to her, but backs off at the last moment, feeling the financial gap between them is too large, and decides to postpone it until he becomes wealthy. That night, he meets with his team, and they tell him they've found a new opponent, but this time the opponent is a very dangerous young man, a taekwondo professional. Yang is scared and refuses to fight since his chance of winning is nearly non-existent. But this crazy young man was waiting for them after school, threatens them, and starts attacking his friend and Minseo in front of him. Yang tries to stop him, but is easily overpowered. When he sees his friends in danger, he decides to accept the challenge. He takes his friend to the hospital and goes home, thinking about how he'll beat this young man, but becomes convinced he has no chance since his opponent is fast, professional, and relies on powerful kicks. The next day, he asks his opponent for a full month to train. The young man mocks him, but eventually agrees, confident in himself. Meanwhile, Yan wastes no time and asks for a month off from the restaurant to focus on training. Mia hears about it and encourages him, telling him she believes in him and that he'll win. He is overjoyed and decides that if he wins, he'll confess his feelings to her. Afterward, he goes to the famous boxer to learn the secrets of Taekwondo from him, but the boxer advises him to withdraw, since 1 month isn't enough. Still, Yang refuses to give up. During a short period of training, a new notification arrives from the masked man, and by an amazing coincidence, the video's title is about how to defeat Taekwondo fighters. He applies the advice exactly, and the days pass quickly until the day of the confrontation arrives. Dong shows up confident, but the moment he sees his opponent, he runs, making the young man chase him in confusion until he follows him into the restrooms, where Yang's clever plan is ready. He floods the floor with water and provokes him to make him lose his temper. Indeed, his opponent slips several times because the floor is wet, while Yang wears special shoes that prevent him from slipping. He seizes the chance, attacks with force, manages to bring him to the ground, and starts to dominate the fight, but he's caught off guard when his opponent removes his shoes to solve the problem and comes back stronger than before. Afterward, he lands powerful kicks that knock Yang down. During the fight, the professional young man remembers an old story from his past. Years earlier, he saved a weak student who was being bullied by the same gang and trained him to fight so he could protect himself, but that student was later attacked by a powerful gang and died due to his lack of experience, and ever since, he's felt guilty. Returning to the present, he asks Yang to give up so he doesn't lose his life like that student did, but Yang won't accept giving up. He endures the pain and decides to finish it to protect his friends. The young man gets angry and uses his strongest move, but Yang dodges it at the last moment, gets up, grabs him by the neck, and pins him to the ground until he makes him lose consciousness. With this, he achieves a new victory, and everyone is stunned. His friend was filming everything, and the stream is a huge success, with viewers amazed at how Yang transformed from a weak, bullied student into the strongest student in the school. After the fight ends, it becomes clear that the professional young man deliberately lost at the last moment because he saw in Yang's eyes the same determination he'd wished for in the student he lost, and realized he'd become strong enough to protect himself. So he decides to retire from fighting and gives him his own watch as a gift and reward before saying goodbye and leaving. At the same time, Mia is watching the live stream and is happy that Yang is safe, but her father sees her and realizes she has feelings for him. He gets angry and demands she stay away from him because he's poor and full of problems. Meanwhile, Yang returns and meets with his team, and they are stunned by the new profits, which reached 2 million. He's overjoyed since only a small amount remains to fully cover his mother's surgery costs. The next day at school, he finds all the students waiting to film with him because his fame keeps growing, and everyone now respects him after he used to be bullied. He finally feels his life has changed for the better. After school, he goes out to celebrate with his team and they go to the amusement park, having a great time and trying out the rides, happy with the success they've achieved. Yang and his friends keep playing and joking around, spending a wonderful time together like brothers exactly. Afterward, they go to the mall to buy new clothes, and his friend suggests he buy new shoes to look sharp in front of Mia, but Yang refuses because they're too expensive, deciding to save the money instead to buy his mother a new jacket. He goes to visit her at the hospital, and she's happy with the gift and thanks him for his care. Then he goes to the restaurant to see Mia, but is shocked when the manager tells him she's left the job. He tries calling her several times, but she doesn't answer. At the same time, the truth is revealed. Mia heard her father's words and decided to stay away from Yang in exchange for him covering his mother's treatment for free. Now she sees Yang standing outside their house waiting for her, but she doesn't go out to him. She starts remembering her childhood when they were neighbors and she lost her locket in the park and cried. Yang promised her then that he wouldn't sleep until he found it, and indeed he kept searching until he returned the locket to her, and ever since that day she's had feelings for him. She snaps back to reality and cries because she truly loves him, but she's forced to stay away from him to protect his future. The next day, Yang meets his friends, and his friend tells him a famous YouTuber has invited them to participate in a fighting tournament. Despite his sadness over Mia's disappearance, he agrees since he still needs money to continue his mother's treatment. When they go meet the YouTuber, they're surprised he wants to buy the entire channel from them, but they refuse and leave. At the same time, the doctor meets Yang's mother and shows her son's fight videos, telling her she should know how her son is earning this money, and asks her to keep her away from his daughter in exchange for doing the surgery for free, but she refuses to interfere in her son's life. After the doctor leaves, she keeps watching her son's videos and is pained seeing how much beating and humiliation he's endured to cover her treatment costs, feeling deep guilt because she's the reason for all this suffering. Meanwhile, his friend runs into the girl who stole the channel earlier, the gang leader's ex-girlfriend, and when he sees her crying, he learns her manager is exploiting her and secretly recorded a video of her without her knowledge to blackmail her. So he decides to help her. Yang goes to the hospital and learns from the doctor that his mother's condition has worsened due to psychological stress and she now needs a more expensive surgery. He breaks down, feeling guilty, and stays by her side until she wakes up, but he's surprised when she apologizes to him and tells him she's proud of him because he's become strong and able to defend himself, and tells him she's at peace about him no matter what happens, words that break his heart. He promises her he'll save her no matter the cost. Afterward, he goes to the famous YouTuber and challenges him to a match on livestream, and they agree the winner takes all the channel's profits. The YouTuber agrees since he's confident in himself as a professional fighter, while Yang decides to train hard and intensely, but is shocked to find the masked man's channel has disappeared and all the videos have been deleted, leaving him confused about how to prepare. At the same time, Mincio goes to beg the YouTuber to cancel the challenge, but he refuses and orders his men to attack her. But the situation flips because Mincio easily takes them down, and we discover she's actually the masked person who's been sending Yang the training videos all along, and she teaches them a harsh lesson that makes them flee in terror. Afterward, we see Mia meet with Yang and confess to him the full truth about the deal between her and her father, giving him back the old locket as a reminder that she's the girl who helped him when he was young, and finally confesses her love for him before leaving in tears. Yang spends the whole night thinking about her words, holding the locket. The next day he goes to the boxer and asks him to train him, but the boxer refuses and advises him to withdraw since his opponent is very dangerous. But Yang remains determined. Afterward, Mincio calls him and asks him to come to her house immediately, and there he's shocked to learn her father knows everything about the mask, and they learn her father is the real trainer who taught Mincio martial arts. He offers to train Yang himself, and Yang agrees immediately. He begins very harsh training by the sea and in the mountains with push-ups, endurance drills, and speed exercises, and learns multiple fighting techniques to become stronger than ever before. After a while, the day of the anticipated match arrives. Before the fight, he visits his mother in the hospital and reassures her, and she tells him to take care of himself. He promises her he'll win and come back with good news. He goes to the arena and finds Mincio waiting for him, cheering him on and reassuring him, telling him he's the strongest person she knows. Yang enters the arena confidently, while nearly the whole crowd supports the YouTuber since he's never lost a fight in his life, and even his opponent mocks him and refuses to shake his hand. But Yang stays calm. As the first round begins, the YouTuber attacks him with full force, but he's shocked that Yang can now block his blows with complete ease. Still, the crowd keeps cheering for his opponent, considering him the expected winner, which makes Yang feel alone. But suddenly Mia goes live and confesses in front of everyone that she loves him, telling the story of his courage and how he stood by her through every difficult situation, and asks people to support him. The crowd is moved and starts cheering for him, sending donations and gifts to the channel. In the second round, Yang draws strength from their support and fights with everything he has, managing to land a strong blow on his opponent, but the YouTuber gets angry, loses his temper, and starts beating Yang violently until he knocks him down, and the round ends with difficulty. Between rounds, his friends try to convince him to withdraw, afraid for him, but he refuses. The final round begins, and the fight continues violently as he remembers all the pain, bullying, suffering, and poverty he's been through in his life. His opponent tries to choke him and force him to give up, but he refuses. Moments later, Jan falls to the ground, and the referee starts counting him out if he doesn't get up. The YouTuber wins, and everyone thinks it's all over, but Mia arrives at the arena, calling out his name. Through the noise and chaos, he hears her voice, regains his willpower, and stands up before the count ends, deciding to finish the fight to the end. He attacks the YouTuber with all his strength and lands consecutive, powerful blows, and for the first time his opponent breaks down in front of him. After a fierce battle, Jan manages to knock him down and win the match, and the whole crowd erupts in applause and cheering, unable to believe Jan have beaten someone who has never lost a fight in his life. His friends run into the ring and hug him, still in disbelief over what happened. Afterward they learn their profits reach 10 million, and they're finally able to fully cover the cost of his mother's surgery. Yang is overjoyed because he's achieved his dream, saved his mother's life, become strong at school, and also gained worldwide fame. Afterward he decides to retire from fighting and live peacefully. But the truth turns out to be completely different from the decisions he's made, because everyone he's faced so far were just small, minor pieces within a much bigger and more dangerous organization. Jan realizes that although he managed to become famous and earn profits, and at the same time managed to control some fighters, he ultimately realizes there are even more dangerous things waiting for him, and that great competitions are yet to come, something we'll surely see in upcoming seasons. And that's it, goodbye for now.